Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where we do painting tutorials. Today I have something a bit more personal, and by that I mean I've never really recorded this style of painting, even though I've done a ton of it in my personal life. I usually don't make tutorials about this because it takes very long and cameras are limited to recording up to 30 minutes. So this is going to be a bit of a stretch. We are going to be painting something in these styles. I'm going to add pictures on the screen. So I have my Van Gogh watercolors, and I'm going to start by mixing a very light brown color. I'm thinking about doing maybe some lake matte or deep. Which is a cool red, yet it has some nice warm undertones. It's not too cool like a pink, but it's nice. And this is just something like dried up acrylic. I don't know what that is, but it's not going to influence our mix whatsoever. And then I'm getting some burnt umber, mix that in. That's too orange, so I'm going to add some of the Azo Yellow Deep. A bit of indigo. I'm going to try it out on a tissue. I'd like a bit more red there, so a bit more red. Okay, that's close to what I want. And I'm going to paint the walls of the house with this color, so just... Actually, I'm going to paint everything with it now that I think about it. Alright. I'm going to lift up with my tissue the street lamp and the house lanterns, lamps, I'm not sure what you call these. Also the windows. Back up the top right corner because I want some foliage there. Now, while it's still wet, I'm going to get a bit more of my indigo and some of the burnt umber. More of the burnt umber, less of the indigo. Good amount of red. And the yellow. Payne's gray. Take a tiny brush. Get it in. I have some vermillion red right here that's right up in this improvised palette I have, so I'm gonna add a bit of that as well, make it more on the purple side. And very lightly, I'm going to add the pavement. Like that, and since it's a bit wobbly, I have shaky hands, I'm just going to tap on top of it with a napkin to give an undefined look. Okay, and then you can add tiny lines like, maybe not like that, but something of the sorts. And then I'm going to go the other way. Okay, and now some tinier lines, like about here. This is just the base. So, I'm actually gonna go back to my big brush. Now I'm gonna paint some shadows beneath the bike, and I said I'm gonna have foliage here, so there and all the way here, very randomly dabbing, and then I go on top with a napkin because I love texture. I'm going to go right under the house very gently, under the stairs. All right. Taking the same mix, and now I'm going to add the siding to the house. Do a line, lightly pick it up. I go back with my big brush, and I'm going to add a shadow to the decking. Just going right under it. I use more shadow to the left side because I said I'm gonna have a tree right here, so. And then of course under the window. All right. Now I'm thinking about making the door Lake Matter deep. I'm just gonna mix it with whatever I have left over. Crisp lines now, just following my sketch, and if drawing is not your thing, there is going to be a traceable available down in the description. I made an oopsie, so I take my tiny brush, go on top of it with water, gently rub that off with my napkin, and I'm doing this because I know that my paper can take on a beading I can abuse it all I want, basically. Okay, then again with my tiny brush I go, oops, that's a bit too dark. I go right beneath all of these lines. I guess I'm going for a cabin vibe right here, so I want it to look like it's textured. Then under this one right here. The tiny brush is a bit more scratchy, so it adds more texture. First I go with this one to lay my base colors, and then I go with a smaller one for the texture. Mostly because it does not hold a lot of water, so it skips bits and it gives me this very interesting grain effect. You can see all of the texture it's adding, like scratching. I really like that. It's not to everybody's taste, but I like it. Then I take this very, very dark color and I'm going to go over the windowsills with it. Go down and then the side. Then I have some bits like this. Basically old school windows. Alright, I keep on with this dark color. I'm going to do the trimming for the door. I don't know anything about construction, that's just what I'm gonna call it for the sake of explaining what I'm doing. Just outlining the door shape. Alright, then I want to add some of, I don't know, decorations. Right. I'm gonna do the stairs as well. I have a bottom piece right here for the house. I'm not sure if it's like foundations or what, but just another dark brown line. Now I'm gonna give it a bit of time to dry before I move on further with it. And I'm gonna take my Azo yellow deep, which is my favorite yellow actually. Add a good amount of it to the palette. And just a bit of indigo blue. And I'm gonna paint the grass field we have right here, like the front lawn. Like that. And I'm gonna add some darker bits, but for that I'm gonna mix whatever. Actually, I'm gonna mix more brown. I'm doing indigo with vermillion, and I'm just going to add random dots like that and leave it to move along, and then I'm gonna add the flowers there. Clean my brush thoroughly because indigo is a very staining color, and I'm gonna be using bright yellow right now, so yeah, a bit of dark Lake Madder Deep. I actually have my swatch card right here, but I always forget the names. And I'm going to do the foliage I promised. I want an autumn, fall, well, depends where you are. I want a fall look, so I'm going with this. And the reason I love Azo Yellow Deep is a bit of a semi-transparent color, meaning it's not fully transparent, so you can still see it even over the dark brown. I want to go down, maybe even on top of the window. Alright. I'm gonna dip it into the, what was it, Lake Madder Deep. And then I'm gonna just add some very random bits with it on top. And then I'm gonna dip into whatever mix we have left over from the grassy field. Maybe a bit more of the indigo, and then very small dots. That's actually a bit too dark for me, so I'm gonna dip in some water. Still too dark. Okay, then I'm gonna add, yeah, that's perfect now. But basically I just want some small hints of dark green available. Just make it interesting. And then we're gonna, my neighbor's wearing heels. I don't know if you can hear that, and it's 2 a.m. That's my villain arc story, if I ever get one. Yes, I'm one of those people that hates their neighbors, alright? So, this part and this part are wet, so I think I'm gonna do the bike right now. For that, I'm just taking the teeny tiny brush. It's actually a number 3. I thought it was gonna be like a 0, but it's a number 3. And I'm going straight into my red. Brush a bit onto the palette. I don't want this to be dripping. And I'm going to paint the body of the bike with it. So yeah, just your normal bike. Alright. Then we have a little, I think this is where the chain goes, I don't know. Fun fact, I have no idea how you're supposed to ride a bike, so sorry if this is not super accurate. I think this is for mud or something on top of the wheel. I don't know. I have a picture I'm looking at, but I'm completely off from the colors because I love wood trim houses, like with the wooden finish, and the one I'm looking at is white, and white is so I changed it. But I have the anatomy of a bike on my computer. Like, I'm looking a picture of a bike, but yeah. Take my brush back. Now, I actually like this color. I really like this vibrant red. Clean most of my brush, and I'm going to use some Payne's gray, which is, if you get it saturated enough, it's gonna be black, but otherwise it's like a bluish gray. Otherwise just use indigo, it's fine, but I want this to be very, very dark. So I'm gonna do the seat with it, bit of the bells, the actual wheel and the handles. Now hold on while I paint a circle. We all struggle with that, it's a common issue. Just slow and steady wins the race. So it goes on top of one side of the chain thingy, but it skips the other. Okay, this wheel is gonna be broken as far as I'm concerned. Gonna thicken up to the side a bit. And maybe here, what the hell is stuck to my brush? And now I have paint all over me. Perfection. Something of the sorts. And the part that holds the stuff. Okay, I'm just gonna clean my brush on my palette. Add a bit more water to dilute everything. Now I'm gonna try and do the handles. Some random bits. The pedals. I'm gonna, of course, add some shadows to the bike. Very quickly. Does it resemble a bike? I hope it does. And now I'm going to start painting my street lamp with, again, Payne's gray. Now I started painting on the light bulb, but the tree is still wet, so I paused it right here, right there. Now I'm going to add more details. While it dries, I go to wherever this is. I'm going to add shadows in the windows, just like that. Okay. Extra shadows where this part ends right here. Like that, and of course over here as well. I like to add some more shadows to the door as well. But since this is wet and it's black, and I risk staining everything, I'm gonna flip it around. So I get a better range like that. do the top and the side, the bottom, the shadows for the stairs. Alright. Basically just light, dark, alternate them. And I'm gonna make them dark to the sides because we have the bike that is leaning onto the stairs. I'm gonna add some hinges too. And a better doorknob. Now I'm gonna paint the lamps. I want a bit more Payne's gray for that. I want like an iron plate on which they're attached. If you hear any noise, it's my cat eating. It's a tiny apartment. So now I make like a plus shape for the actual lamps. Okay. And I'm gonna use whatever leftover blue I have. Maybe use a bit more indigo and dilute it a lot to connect the lamp. And of course add a little shadow. I want a better shadow beneath the windows. So I'm just cleaning my brush onto the painting. I'm gonna add a shadow under the bike. I want to do some very fine lines onto the windows. Make it look like some old window frame, wooden window frames. Then I'm gonna tap on top with my napkin. Let's lift it off and make it a bit more textured. I wait a bit for the street ground to dry, so hopefully we can proceed right now and just continue painting. Since I'm using Payne's gray, which is, again, if you saturate it enough, it's almost black. So it should go seamlessly into this part, which is already dry. Okay. I am going to leave it as is. I think I like these things showing, like the foliage peeking through. I want to just stain it with a bit of yellow because the white was putting off the entire painting off, so I just put a bit of yellow and picked it up with my napkin. Now, just like how we started, I'm going to mix a dark brown. So I start with the yellow. Basically, to mix a brown, you need all of the primary colors. So I start with yellow and red and indigo. A bit more. A bit of the Payne's gray because I want this to be very dark. Oops. And I'm going to paint random bits of branches peeking through. That is nowhere near as dark. So I'm just adding random bits of the branches, peeking through all of this foliage here. And I think I have some of the brown yes on this brush, and I want to further darken up the shadow the tree is casting on the house. So I'm just slightly gonna go around it. All right. Tap on top. And again, the windows, I want them to be really dark. Then a bit of a shadow being casted from the foliage here. Just a bit. Now this is not in the reference picture, but I just want to do it, so I'm gonna add some vases around the house. Again with my red, just, you know, some random pots. Like that, and then maybe a tiny one. And then like a big one right here. Get some color to shade them with. Basically reverse sea layers. Like right here on the top, because we're gonna add foliage there that's gonna cast its shadow. Okay. And of course, shadows underneath. Now as a finish, I just tap into my red. Take the napkin and I'm pressing the bristles that are nearest to the brush onto the napkin. That way I pick the excess water, but it still has water. And I lightly start tapping with the brush, and then I add some bigger shapes. Then I do the same with the yellow. And connect them to this big grassy thing we have. Randomly tap on top of the pots. Let's maybe add some succulents or something. Bit of yellow. And small hints of the red. Then I'm adding some texture, some more definition to the tree. And you shouldn't really do this, but I smudge it out with my finger. Like, I don't have allergies to the paint, and Lake Matter Deep is very safe, so I just use my finger at this point. Feel free to use the napkin instead, but mine is pretty gross right now. I'm just tapping to add more texture on top. Then maybe go to the yellow, and again just tap. So this is the finished painting / illustration. Let me know what you think about this painting style. It's something I enjoy very much, but I avoid because it does take some time. I'd like to give a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters for the month of December, and thank you all for watching. We will see each other in the next video. Bye bye!